It's time for another review of the updates to Holliston's facilities. I'm here at Goodwill Park with James Keast. Hi, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So, tell me what's going on here. We just did the playground over. It looks beautiful, but I think there's more in store.
There is. So I believe 2 segments ago, we were in the middle of the reconstruction of 9 Green Street, where there was an old dilapidated building that we had torn down and then now turned into a beautiful parking lot with some benches and some seating areas. And the next phase is a little further down Green Street to Goodwill Park, where we are right now.
Okay.
And the plan is to go out to bid in the next 30 days for some renovations to these structures that we see here.
Yeah, some of these structures have been here forever.
They have, and there's a beautiful granite building, and that, of course, is going to remain. But this, concrete block structure behind us is coming down, and we'll have a open spaced gathering area where kids can come in and be out of the rain or the bright sun. It's designed to sort of have this indoor-outdoor feel with these roll-up garage doors that are glasses that you see maybe at like a restaurant.
Yep.
To allow a seamless transition between the indoor space and the outdoor space. Things like arts and crafts will go on in there, plays and things that all these
performances,
these things that the parks department runs, right? In terms of various programs can be held in this location.
So it's a flexible, brand new building, a true recreation building.
That's correct, yes.
And so that will be huge. I mean, it'll just expand the possibilities for Goodwill Park for all the groups.
Yep.
What else is happening?
So we're getting much needed bathrooms.
Oh, great.
For the downtown area.
Oh.
And so it's a separate structure that's going to be on the side of the of this new.
It's connected to this one.
It's actually a separate building.
Okay.
But they'll be open. The problem with the bathrooms here, they're not ADA compliant. It's connected to a cesspool, so it's very difficult to maintain them with constant use. This new bathroom facility will be ADA compliant and actually connected to what's called a tight tank, and then ultimately will be connected to the downtown sewer when that comes, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
And so the best part is that we have such demand for public restrooms, with folks coming off the rail trail, coming down the Central Street corridor, visiting the shops downtown. This will provide a spot where people can come and use the restroom.
So what's the scope of this now that it's all done? Tell me what we're looking at here at Green Street.
So we're looking at our beautiful parking lot that was installed, just under a year or so ago. We have several parking spots, ADA spots, and over here 2 EV vehicle charging spots.
There's 2, okay.
There's 2, but it's provisioned for another 2 more. Mm-hmm. So we have a total of 6 spots. As you can see, we brought in significant power into the site to be able to handle the charging of those vehicles. Along the Green Street side, you can see that we have 2 benches and a bike rack. There are 4 trees that were dedicated by the 300th Holliston 300th Anniversary Committee, and they will grow into beautiful shade trees.
Oh, good. They need some shade here.
Yeah. We also have a couple picnic benches where folks can grab a sandwich from a downtown, from a Superette or from wherever, and sit down and eat and enjoy their lunch. This is a significant change from what was here before.
Oh,
it was
I
a
remember.
rundown building. I know we did in a previous segment of where that building was being torn down. And now we have this beautiful spot.
Yeah, this railing is very nice. That's an interesting story. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this railing was actually produced by the Department of Corrections and the prisoners in the correctional institutions as part of
their rehab.
Sure. And a part of for good behavior. They can come and produce things for various municipalities.
Oh.
And they produced this beautiful stainless steel railing that we can see here.
Okay.
It was interesting. This was fabricated, a lot of it on site, which required security, but it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it makes a huge difference in the look and feel of the parking lot.
Definitely. That's great.
Yeah.
So you had said that this part will be part of the downtown sewer project. What's the ETA on that now? What are we looking at?
So this past fall town meeting,
Yeah.
A sewer commission was developed,
Right.
authorized to be developed. This is an appointed board that will report to the select board. And this sewer commission will really work with the engineer involved on this project and the property owners in downtown to decide and develop the routing of the sewer lines to see who's in and who's out, who
Okay.
chooses to be connected, who chooses you don't have to connect. One of the sewer lines is going to run down here to Green Street and pick up the restrooms that we talked
Okay.
about over at Goodwill Park. The timeline is such that we hope to start doing some of the design work, the design engineering work for the system, basically in the spring. And
This spring?
yeah, and
Boy.
if we can get additional funding through various grants that are available, could quite conceivably start preliminary construction within a year
Okay.
of this project. The good news is that the DEP, which regulates how much flow we can run into the wastewater treatment plant, which is up for Linden Street, has approved the phase 1 flow, which allows us to connect the downtown.
That's big.
We're currently working on a phase 2, which could increase the capacity into that plant, which means the system could be further expanded. But we're working on it in phases. But the great news is that phase 1 is basically approved, and we're working now with the sewer commission to push this project forward.
That's impressive progress.
Yeah,
Impressive.
it is. I mean, nothing's
Yeah.
cast in stone. I mean, there are funding hurdles and things,
Sure.
but everything is trending in the right direction.
Great. So what's the scope of the DPW facility timeline?
So, back in the spring of 2023, town meeting authorized $30 million for the construction of the new DPW facility on a location called Cross Street, 20 Cross Street.
All right, we were there. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we were there. Unfortunately, that land is still tied up in land court, and the town technically doesn't have ownership of it. There are some problems with the site in terms of environmental concerns that need to be cleaned up. We're working very closely with the EPA and brownfields to clean that site up. But since no one has true ownership of it, that work has not gone on. And here we are 2 years later, and the buildings are getting worse, and we need to begin to move forward. So the select board in the fall authorized our consultant, Weston & Sampson, to look at additional sites in town to possibly place this facility. Just this week, we opened up requests for proposals for anyone that has land available in town to submit an offer. And this is the way it has to work for public municipalities in Massachusetts, is that people that want to sell their land to the town have to provide an offer to the town.
Okay.
So that mechanism is through the RFP. So that has been issued so that we can then look at additional spots, for this facility.
Okay.
So unfortunately, not much progress from the last time we spoke, but this is, what we have to contend with.
Right. Well, it's all the waste and the property, and
Yeah.
it's complicated.
Well, yeah, and
Very
the
complicated.
ownership of the
Yes,
property is
yes.
obviously
You-
key.
All right. The last update is Woodland Street and the bridge and the dam. Where are we now?
So great news on that.
Oh, good.
Just yesterday, so December 11th, we had the opening of the bids to identify a contractor to do the work. So all of the engineering work has been done. All of the approvals with the state and the Mass DOT, the Army Corps of Engineers have all been done. We have most of the funding already. The great news is the bids came in under our projected costs.
Great.
So the hope is to finalize with the winning bidder within 30 days of a contract, and then we can start the work. So one of the requirements of the contract is that the roadway has to be open by September of 2025. So less than a year from now.
That's
So the
amazing.
work on the dam portion can continue, but the roadway has to be open, and so that way, safety personnel, the schools, the school buses can all use that route, and it will certainly alleviate a lot of the traffic congestion downtown that we've been dealing with for the past 2 years.
I love it. It's going to be a new world.
It will be a new world.
Yeah.
It's a interesting project because the roadway and the dam are all interconnected. So the spillway from the dam is basically going under the roadway. So one of the things that is being done to expedite the construction of this is that the actual spillway portion, which is the roadway bridge, is being manufactured off-site, and it's going to be trucked in and dropped in place.
Neat.
So that's pretty cool part of the project. But yes, we're all super excited to get this taken care of.
Great news. Great news. So finally, you have some real work that's being done at our schools. Tell me about it.
So we had several projects over the past year at the schools. We can start at the high school.
Okay.
And for the 20 plus years since the renovation of that high school, we've had a water leak issue around the auditorium. And it was a pretty significant leak. This past year, we were able to identify the cause and fix the issue. And some folks that may have been, driving around the high school over the past year saw all sorts of work being done on the auditorium wall. At one time, they had this green, this sort of turquoise color over the wall, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh my gosh, are we painting this wall? It's such a horrible color." But that was actually a waterproofing membrane that was put on the brick, and then we put aluminum panels over that with insulation to cover that area. And just this past night, we had a severe storm with 3 inches of rain, wind-driven, which would have totally rendered that section of the building useless. And I'm happy to report we didn't have a drop of rain.
That's great.
Water into that building, so that problem's been solved.
Good engineering.
And it for years was creating all sorts of havoc. Equipment and things that were in the building had to be thrown out because it was getting water damaged, and so it's a good news story all the way around that was taken care of at the high school.
Okay.
Over at the Woodland Street campus, we had several projects. One was a new roof on the Placentino School, so this is the asphalt shingled section of the roof. That was replaced, and in anticipation of putting solar up there, so that's something that we're working on now that we have that new section of roof. There are other flat sections of the Placentino and connecting Miller School that's on a 2-year capital plan to be replaced. This past fall town meeting, the Adams School roof, which is a separate building, received funding to get what's called a restoration. So that's a flat roof, has a rubber membrane, and what they're going to do is clean that membrane off, put on a fluid applied sealant, and then a fabric layer, and then they put that fluid applied membrane on top of that. And that in fact doubles the thickness of the roof, sealing it off and giving it another 20 to 30 years of additional life on that roof.
Does it also kind of give it better heat and air, so the heat doesn't escape? And
the big thing is that these roofs are all black. The new layer that's going to go on it is a light gray, so they're going to be much more reflective and not absorb the heat from the sun.
Yep.
The other advantage is once we do this, we can put a ballasted solar array on those roofs as well.
Okay.
Going back to the Placentino and Miller, there are also several skylights that were in that building that over the 25 years were cracked. They're acrylic and breaking, faded, and those were all replaced as well.
It's going to look great.
Yeah, it's going to look great. And then, the big benefit is that once these things are taken care of, we can put solar on there and significantly reduce the electrical consumption in those buildings.
Wonderful. So I think the playgrounds also got an update?
Yeah. So the playgrounds as well were, over 25 years old, and the kids love using them and they wear out.
Oh, okay.
So there are 3 playgrounds. There's one down at Miller, which we call the Lower Miller Playground, and there were 2 up at Placentino, so the Middle Placentino and the Upper Kindergarten Placentino Playground. All of those playgrounds received new surfacing.
What kind of surface do they get?
So it's a rubberized surface, so it's like walking on the moon. It's
Oh.
really squishy and
Yeah.
it's nice. The advantage of those surfaces is it allows for ADA access for anyone who wants to use the playgrounds. Typically, wood mulch is an acceptable form of protection from falls and things, but it makes it difficult to get around.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those surfaces were replaced. They're all the same. There's sort of a gray, green, and black mixture of this rubberized surfacing, which is really, really nice.
That sounds nice.
It looks great. The middle playground, so the Middle Placentino Playground, was a complete redo. So we took the old structure out. It was just too worn to save. And a completely new structure was installed, and it looks wonderful. Nothing but positive feedback from all the students and staff that use this structure. Has nice ADA access and some really cool play features that are there.
Oh, I can't wait to see
includes
that.
some electronic, musical instruments and things like that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
The kindergarten playground. There were 2 structures. There was a newer structure that remained. And the older structure was completely removed and a new structure put in its place. And again, wonderful feedback from all the kids that enjoy using these new facilities.
That must make you feel really good.
It is. It's nice.
Because,
Yes, it is.
sometimes some of the stuff you do is either invisible or...
Yeah, like a roof.
Yeah, exactly. But now you really made a difference in the days of our children, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely wonderful. And then
Yeah.
the one last project that we're doing, which is going to be pretty exciting, is that there's a very large rooftop unit that's on the Adams School,
Mm-hmm.
and it provides heating and air conditioning for a large section of the school. And it's 60 tons. And that's not weight, but that's capacity of the unit, so it's very
Okay.
large. It's the size of basically 2 cars.
Okay.
And that's going to be replaced in a couple weeks, and a massive crane is going to lift it off the roof and put a new one on top. The other nice thing about this unit is that it runs on natural gas for heating and of course electricity for cooling. It's being converted over to, the new one is a heat pump.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an air source heat pump, which will make a significant impact in terms of the reduction of the natural gas consumption on what's called the shoulder months. The nice thing is that in conjunction with the solar is basically going to provide free heating and cooling when this unit is operating and being offset by the solar generation.
Got it. Lots of great improvements. We'll look forward to coming back and seeing more of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Anytime. I enjoy doing these segments with you.
Thanks, James.
Take care.
For Heartbeat of Holliston, I'm Chryso Lawless.